So that is technically the end. However, oh, can we go? Oh, okay. Right. There is this scene, and then there's another scene. Right. Forgot about that. I guess we're doing this then. I forgot. Hello?
Where?
Hi. He's talking.
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
Kyle.
Yes.
Ah, yes,
I don't have to talk anymore.
of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
Right. I lurched upright, jumped off the bed, and ran around to the other side of the partition. The mirror over the sink was covered with a film of dirt. I wiped it off with my sleeve, and my reflection stared back at me. There was no mistake. The reflection belonged to...
Kyle Climb.
Right.
So, I'm Dr. Climb? Zero Senior's clone?
Right.
What? How do you know that?
That's a very good question.
Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
An excellent question. One I didn't quite know the answer to myself. I knew who Kyle Climb was. In another history, he had been called K and had worn a suit of armor. He hadn't just worn the armor in that history, though. Apparently, he'd worn it all his life. Kyle had been born and raised in this lunar installation, which seemed to be called Rhizome 9. Rather late in his life, Akane had appeared as a mother figure and had consequently grown very attached to her. Oh, and he had consequently. Sorry, I think I skipped the he. Yeah. I don't know. I knew everything about him. But even though I knew it, I didn't feel it. Was I really Kyle Climb? I think that's... Am I saying that right? I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw his face. The spitting image of Sigma Climb in his younger days. I looked down. Dio's still there unconscious. There was Dio, still handcuffed. I turned back around to Luna.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
Right.
Today is the last day of the AB project.
Right.
Akane has explained everything in the garden.
Okay, yes.
And she drew a knife and attacked Phi.
Right.
How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time.
Oh my.
For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
Okay.
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
Nope.
No, they've all been given the antiviral.
Oh, okay.
It just takes a while to have an effect.
Right.
I see.
Okay.
So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past.
Okay.
It should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
Okay, maybe... Oh, wait, hold on. I'm getting confused now.
Yes,
I can't tell if there's something more after this, or if this is the thing that I thought that I was going to have to... I'm confused now. I'm very confused.
Why am I here?
the doctor carried you back here.
Okay.
You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the Doctor is Sigma Climb, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Right.
Yes, but how do you know that?
That's a very good question. Well,
Dio seems to have remained unconscious.
Yes. I've been administering Soparil whenever he gets restless.
okay. Well,
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas.
I see.
Myoji and Quark, for instance.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm just very disoriented.
right! Mr. Climb!
Hi.
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
Yes.
What are you two doing here?
Right, that's a good
You don't
question.
know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber.
Right.
The real one.
Hold on, I'm very confused. Maybe they changed it for this, or maybe I misremembered. Maybe I think I might just be misremembering. I think maybe you don't have to get all the secret files. Maybe you just had to beat every escape room on hard to get this. Because I'm pretty sure this is, if I'm remembering correctly, I'm trying to find like an actual thing that like says if this is what it is, but I think from what I can tell, this is in fact like, I don't know, again, it's been a while since I've actually fully played through Virtue's Last Reward, so I think this is technically I'll point out that this is technically, theoretically, I think a non-canon thing. I had meant to do this in a... It's really... Hold on. Okay, let me look at the flowchart again. Okay, no. Maybe... Let's just keep going. I don't know anymore. I genuinely don't know.
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
You plan to
Okay.
return them? To
Right.
Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here.
Right.
Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's Dr.
Yeah.
Climb now, or Zero Senior, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm confusing myself.
Why?
Depending on how long this goes on, I will probably cut this in two,
What do you mean, why?
but we'll see.
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help?
That's a good
You're
question.
gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you? You can't wait for something that's already happened. Grammar doesn't work that way.
Right.
Hell, nature doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out.
Correct.
About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened. Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not gonna change.
Okay.
In fact, it's because of what he did or didn't do in the past that we've got this past and present.
Right.
Let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway.
Okay.
Eventually, they hit a junction. The
Okay.
road splits in two.
Got it. Sorry, I'm getting... I'm disoriented by this because I wasn't expecting to be able to do this right away. I was thinking out I was gonna have to get all of the secret archives.
One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast.
Okay.
So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. "Let's go northwest," he says. So they take the northwestern road, but about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers. 90 of them
Oh
die.
my.
The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive.
Okay.
They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually they'd gone 10,000 miles.
Right.
Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time.
Right.
He ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy.
Yes.
And
Okay.
they all live happily ever after.
Right.
That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But
Right.
what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
It's a good question.
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Right. Okay, 9 people then. What happens to the reality they were living? Does it just disappear when S changes the past?
I would assume not.
It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip.
Right.
Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure. That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories.
Okay. Yeah.
Friendships,
I
farewells,
can imagine.
romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate.
Okay.
But what would rewriting their history mean? The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that? The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt.
Right.
Isn't that worth something? Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to?
Okay.
Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy?
That is a very good
Are
question.
people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting, even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness, even in a world that hates it.
Okay.
Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying
That is a
rewriting
very
the
good
past
question.
will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept that, all right?
Okay.
You get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Right.
Is he right?
Yes. Granted, you will probably have a loving family, or hopefully you would.
No, it's not going to happen. We're here right now. This is reality.
Right.
Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just going to disappear or something.
Okay.
Oh! Then that means we get to stay together?
Yes.
Good.
Thanks, kid.
Sorry, I was again. I'm just slightly disoriented.
I understand how you feel. Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine.
Right.
There are likely people waiting for you.
Yes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Bye, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off. We told them we'd see them again someday, and then came here.
They're
Okay.
the only people you want to say goodbye to?
Well, no point saying anything to Dio.
Fair.
Besides, he's asleep.
Yeah.
You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
You have a point.
Yeah.
Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not really Mr. Sigma anymore.
Fair.
Of course. He is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
Fair.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
Yeah, I can understand that.
And Akane?
Never mind her.
Awkward.
She's just like him. Not the Akane I knew.
Fair
She
enough.
must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore. But the
Well.
Akane Kurashiki I know isn't here. She's not anywhere.
Well, that's sad.
In the end, Clover and I were just pawns.
Yeah.
Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of.
Yeah. I feel that.
Still,
I can
it's not
understand.
like we were completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past.
Right.
That part's easy to understand. But
Kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma
Yeah.
and Phi have it easy. They get to go back to December 25th in 2028.
Fair
They'll
enough.
stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to.
Right.
In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
Fair.
but we don't. We're stuck with point C as our starting point.
Yeah. Okay.
You told us about Tenmyoji's story, right?
Right.
The one with the motorcycles? It would be
Yeah.
like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here.
Okay.
Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
It's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck in the
Right.
reality where the 90 bikers died.
are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now.
Fair.
And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
Fair enough.
Even if it
Yes.
is for the greater good,
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
Yeah, I
it's a
can
little bit
imagine
much.
that. I mean, there is also the fact, if Sigma and Fire are successful, the other U's, the ones trapped in the pods, can then be released. So at least there's a version of you out there that gets to live normal lives.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
she told us that there is one way.
Okay.
One way we could get back to the past.
Let's say you do go back to the past. Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Okay.
Yes, you're right.
But this is different.
Different. How so?
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time too.
Oh my.
That's ridiculous. It would create a paradox. How could you have two Clovers and two Alices at the same time?
That's a good
But
question.
that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a way around that.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
Very good question. Akane does tend to have crazy plans that she doesn't want to tell anyone about.
Schrodinger's?
Cat.
Oh, hey,
Ta-da,
Kyle.
that's it.
Figured you'd come here eventually.
Yeah.
Where's Dr. Klein? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. He's in there if you're curious.
Oh, I see.
Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up. Want me to start it?
sure. We'll solely stand.
Glad to see you. There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you. However, I imagine there are a great number of things weighing on your mind.
Yes.
I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, my circumstances make that an impossibility.
Okay.
I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know, Phi should also know. I have
Okay.
instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
Oh. We getting singled out.
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to ask?
Right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Phi?
That's a very good
Not
question.
Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman or Spider-Man or Aquaman
Right.
or a Merman or a Wolfman. I'm not
Fair.
a Brahmin or Kamen or Ramen. I'm not a Cayman either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
Please
Yeah.
don't dodge the question. About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked you with a knife.
Right.
That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct?
Right.
Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029.
Right.
On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody. Although by then you were in cold sleep.
Right.
You wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body. That pod was your home for 45 years.
Okay.
You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out,
Right.
even though you didn't wake up.
Yeah.
Still unconscious, you were carried to the AB room.
Right.
That was when your consciousness changed bodies again. A
Indeed.
version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out
Got it.
and sending you back to December 25th, 2028. This is when you finally woke up. In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body.
Right.
Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility. Unfortunately, your plan failed.
Right.
The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve. That failure determined the path you followed. Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from Point E, you headed straight to Point D. Point D being April 13th of the following year.
Right.
That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods.
Right.
Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future.
Got it.
It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden. This caused the two versions of you to swap places, and you moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor.
Right. Got it.
That put you on the line that comes here. So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you, only 3.5 months have passed since that happened.
Indeed.
That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden.
Right.
Have I missed anything?
Okay.
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Okay.
What do you mean by that?
Cool.
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor.
I see.
It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
Interesting.
I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, no, same.
Could you please explain?
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2.
Okay.
v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation.
What?
Of course, the sort of velocities we encounter in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared, which is the speed of light squared. That means that
Okay.
1 plus v1 times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to something pretty close to 1.
Okay.
Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2.
Interesting.
You see what I'm saying? In most situations, it works, even if it isn't technically correct.
Interesting.
So you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about right. As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand.
Yeah, I'm a little confused
In
too.
fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
So was that what you wanted to ask about?
No. What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028.
Very good question. She probably won't answer you.
You and Sigma infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
Yes.
What happened there? How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms? And why was Radical 6 in there in the first place? What could a deadly
Right.
virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why?
Because it would change history.
Fair.
There is a history where the virus didn't escape. That's the line that goes to the right of Point E. In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't
Yes.
red.
Right.
The future is much brighter. But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear.
Oh dear.
You understand?
I don't. Why would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
You're about to go back to the past, right?
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Are you sure?
Where the hell did you learn all this stuff? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up.
Fair.
So how can you know all this? You know my past. Sigma's past.
That is a very good question.
I shall
We
give
don't
you
have
your
an answer.
answer.
Oh, hi. Thank you.
You are not Kyle Climb.
Oh, hi. Well, who am I
Your
then?
body is Kyle's, but your consciousness is not.
Okay.
Think about it. Do you really believe you're Kyle? Or
Nah.
could you be someone else entirely?
It's possible.
Then where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
He was thrown out when you entered.
Okay.
Right now, in a manner of speaking, he has arrived at December 25th, 2028.
Interesting.
His consciousness has gone into a body from that time. I doubt you know how much the doctor loves Kyle. He
Okay.
raised him on his own. Kyle is irreplaceable.
I
Do
see.
you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here?
That is a good question.
I know what I told the others. That Kyle was Dr. Climb's spare.
Okay.
But that was not his only purpose. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and
Okay.
ends on New Year's Eve 2028.
Got it.
Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
Interesting.
And that is why he created him?
Okay.
Yes,
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the doctor has achieved his objective.
Okay.
Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
correct.
Okay.
There's one thing that troubles me.
I understand. I think.
Kyle was created before reaching point B from point D.
Okay.
That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028.
Right.
Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. What's going to happen to me? You're telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
No, not at all.
Okay.
You can travel freely through time and space.
I see.
You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system. As such,
If you
the
say
rules
so.
of this world do not apply to you.
Okay.
I have no idea what...
Please don't
Yeah,
try
we're a little
to
bit
play dumb.
confused.
I know what you are. Surely you must know by now, too.
Do we?
You are about to go into the past and save the world.
If you say
Phi
so.
and Sigma, even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help. Only you can right the horrible wrongs of our past. Only you can save the world.
I see.
There's no way I...
Yes, there is. You have to.
If you insist.
Don't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to know what happened in between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028?
Yes, actually. Yes, I do. I mean, I already know.
Well, yes, I do, but...
Then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be.
Okay.
If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality?
Okay.
Your will can change history.
If you say
The
so.
world will be reshaped into the one you imagine.
Sure. We will totally do that.
Remember what I've told you. Only you can change history. Only you can save the world.
All right. Sure. Okay. So, that was the thing. And to explain, that whole sequence, all of that, it's not completely canon. Basically, it has been revealed, since the game has come out, that back, well, first of all, let's just look at the timeline, just for fun, just so we can see all the boxes and everything. But yeah, it's basically been revealed that back when the game was coming out, towards like the point where the Japanese voice actors and actresses were recording all of their vocals, there was like an earthquake, I think it was, in Japan, and the game ending on this whole thing up here, end or beginning, where, everything is very, like, dark and kind of like a downer, because, the bombs and stuff have just gone off, and Sigma has to spend 45 years doing science and preparing for the AB plan because the plan has failed. It was a very much a downer sort of ending. So they didn't want to, like, they wanted to give a bit more of a optimistic and positive ending to the game. So they added this scene, which I believe in the original version, in the original Japanese version, it didn't actually have voice acting. I don't know if it has Japanese voice acting now with the re-release. I would have to check on that, which I probably will forget to do. But yeah, so they added this scene, which kind of gets into some kind of meta-y stuff, but it gives it kind of a more hopeful ending. But it's kind of questionable on how canon it is. So basically, most people ignore it at this point, or very loosely, like, think of it, and don't. They mostly rely on everything else, but sometimes it's interesting to think of the possibility of this actually, like, being being used, but for the most part, it's not. So, yeah, I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore. But yeah, that was Virtue's Last Reward. We do have a little bit more that I would like to do in this game. Because, as you might remember, there's a couple of secret archives that we have not actually collected. And we also haven't actually looked at any of the secret archives. So I believe next time we will have one final episode of Virtue's Last Reward. And that will be one half me getting the last few secret files, and then we will be reading them. So, yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. Look forward to that. And bye-bye. Oh, interesting. That's weird. Okay. I don't think I would have figured that out. Okay. I had to look it up to figure it out, but I didn't want to just look up what I needed to like put in, because that would be kind of cheap. So instead, I looked up how to do it, and so you're supposed to come to this and look at this and see how many things are covered up by each. So you would find that 2 blues, 2 yellows, and 1 red are covered up. So 2, 2, 1. I don't think I would have gotten that. I had briefly considered the possibility of somehow using the sheet with the grid, but I did not connect it in that way. Awesome! Unlocked! Huh? Why'd the left drawer open? There's something in there. Clean plaid fabric. Alright. So now we just gotta bring this over here. Hospital bed. A square hole has been cut out of the sheet. Let's just set this in here then. You know, I realize now, I could have done that from the very beginning on the first playthrough, but I didn't, so I had to do it by guesswork. And I don't know if I ever knew that you could do this. I really don't know if I ever knew that you could put the fabric there. It's just, I don't know. Okay, well, that's one. So, sun, and a moon. We don't need to see the dialogue. Go over here, open this up. Click on the thing. It was sun, moon. And there we go. We have the infirmary password. And the infirmary file. Okay. And I believe we don't actually have to finish said thing. Because, yeah. So if we go to the flowchart and we go to here, we got all 14 out of 14. So now, let's go to the crew quarters. Let's have some fun. What if Have I just never tried this? What if we try... Nine, 8, 6, 1. Did I really never try that? Wow, I'm kind of actually disappointed in myself. Sun, star, moon. Okay. Sun, star, moon. Well, good to know. Sun. I don't actually. Star, moon. Okay. I'm very distracted. I'm actually. This is weird for me because normally I would keep going until I've gotten all of these. But I'm gonna cut the episode for a moment and, well, it's gonna be for a moment for you guys, but for me, it's going to be much longer than that. Because, well, okay, so we're missing, it looks like we're missing one more? Hold on. Let me just double check the flowchart. If we're only missing one more, then I think I could do that fairly quickly. Got that, got that, got that, got that, got that, got that, got that. Okay, we're missing the rec room. Got everything in security. Got everything in the director's office. Are you really only missing the rec room? Okay, wow. I forgot about that. Get a score of 91 with 3 darts. We're fine. Let me think about this. So the red has, if I'm interpreting this right, the red has to be more than the blue, which has to be more than the green. You can get 34. You know, I'm actually kind of in a rush, and I also... my brain is not functioning for math correctly. So I'm just gonna... Actually, I was kind of close. I was actually almost there. Because I just looked it up. So I was actually right on 2 of them. I just needed to experiment... I just need to remember to hit that. Okay, so I was actually pretty close. Okay, star in the bottom right, star in the top right, and star in the bottom left, star in the top right, moon in the middle bottom. Okay. Got it. Okay. Got it, and this should be everything, actually. You found it and redacted. I believe you found it is the last achievement for the entire game. As a collection on Steam. So that's cool. I'm pretty sure. Now, I said that I was gonna go through all of the secret files, but I'm kind of not sure about that. Well, so how long are they? They're not... There's a lot of unnecessary things. And like extra stuff. We'll think about it. For now I'm actually gonna stop recording because I need to do some stuff. But either this is the end of the episode and the end of the series for real, or I will go through the secret files and go ahead and do the things. If I don't read the secret files, this is actually probably going to be cut down so much that it can be added on at the end of the last episode. Because I really didn't talk that much. Anyway, either goodbye or see you in literally a second. I don't know. Bye. Ah!